Hey. Good Friday. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White. This is Friday's edition. If you are watching, we're asking that you like. We really want you to hit that like button. We want you to subscribe and share, but we want you to like. On the panel today, we have Adolph Mongo in spirit. We have Allan Lengel, Deadline Detroit. Hey, Allan.
Hey.
We have Jim Nardone, former police chief of Trenton, Michigan. Hey, Jim.
Happy Friday, and we're hoping to get Adolph back soon. We miss our big toe, as I call him.
And we have Mr. Eric Brown, the all-around-the-way guy. You're not speaking to the viewers this evening?
Bonjour.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Speaking French.
Okay. So, I guess we're just going to kick it this Friday, but I'm going to start off by saying, before we went on the air, I made a comment about clearly there are people that are watching the show, but they didn't push the like button. They didn't hit the like button, nor have they subscribed, but they do talk about the show. They were talking about my comments about people coming from out of town campaigning for people locally. The point that I was trying to make, I don't know if people really got it, but the point that I was trying to make is this. It is incumbent upon us as voters to become educated about who is running for office and who we want to support. Part of politicking is to use everything that you have. If you have ammo, you have star power, people do it. But, hey, Marlon, but is that really a good way to make your selection as to who you want to support? I submit that it is incumbent upon us to educate ourselves. We need to be educated voters and not spoon-fed voters. So that was the point that I was trying to make. I don't have a problem with anybody that's running for mayor. I think it's great that we have some wonderful candidates, that all these people think that they want to be the leader of the city of Detroit. I think is great. But I also think it is incumbent upon us to be informed about who we support. Hey, Queen Bee. So I just want to make sure that I said that. I want to clarify it because people talking junk in court today, talking about me talking junk. No, I wasn't talking junk. I just want to make sure that I'm very, very clear about what I was trying to convey. So if I didn't convey it on Wednesday, I'm conveying it today. That's it. So what you have?
You're on point. At the end of the day, there's not a single person, particularly that lives outside of the state, that can convince me that it's sunny outside on a clear blue day. And, to see a paper in Jacksonville, Florida, promoting a candidate in Detroit, Michigan, I thought that was the most disingenuous piece of shit I've read. At the end of the day, Ben Crump has as much juice here as I have in Idaho. So, again, at the end of the day, people, fall for the celebrities all you want. Celebrities will endorse, and it's no different than, back in the day in college. You had people coming on college campuses that did not go to Eastern Michigan, did not go to U of M, starting fights. And at the end of the day, they leave campus, and the student organizations on campus have to deal with dean of student and vice president of student affairs, not those that created the chaos. So, Crump, Bump, Beyonce, I don't care who you bring in, they cannot convince me that it's a sunny day on a clear blue day in the middle of summer in Detroit.
And, I want to add to that. I noticed that there was an article. I don't know if you sent it to me. I don't know if I read it. So I read it. I don't know where I got it from, but it was a breakdown of how much money people have so far.
Yeah, that was Bridge Detroit. I sent it to you all.
Listen, Vice President Harris had a whole lot of money.
1.5 billion.
She did not become the president of the United States. Does money make a difference? Yes, in terms of you being able to get your message out there, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's the people who go to the ballot box that make that determination.
I I agree. Look, I mean, Kamala Harris had more money than she knew what to do with, frankly. But money does matter, particularly, when you're trying to get your name out there. I mean, we're going to see a lot of mayoral candidates, some who are less known than others. And the more people, the majority of people aren't going to do research, aren't going to figure out what Mary Sheffield stands for, what Sontiel Jenkins stands for. A lot of them are be like, I like her, I don't like her. I don't like the way she talks. I don't like the way she dresses. I've seen that commercial. I don't like that commercial. So I mean, Kamala Harris, I think, a lot of stuff, but I think money does matter, and I think particularly, I mean, it's going to matter in the mayoral race, but I think it's really going to matter in the governor's race, where you're doing a statewide campaign where people in the UP and Traverse City, their vote is as meaningful as the people in Southeast Michigan. And I think you're going to see, I mean, Duggan's going to have a lot of money, probably from Dan Gilbert.
Well, now we talk about the governor's race.
Yeah, the governor's race too. But
okay.
But I see, with Ben Crump, I guess the question is he throwing in any money? And they've learned how everyone gets around the limits now by donating to PACs. Dan Gilbert has a PAC, which happens to be donating to Mary Sheffield. And so it's going to make a difference. I mean, if you run a bad campaign, and you blow the money the wrong way, I think we realize, in having a publication, I tell people sometimes, I said, don't waste your money on advertising. This isn't your audience. We got once, but generally,
you have a fan, Allan.
Huh?
You have a fan.
I'm sorry, I had to laugh too.
Oh, there you go. But I didn't see that. But I'm saying that advertising, the law firms, you see all the lawyers who are advertising on TV, like, Mike Morris, Sam Bernstein, all that kind of stuff. It's like their audience is blue collar, people who don't know lawyers. It's like a lot of us on this panel, not to say we if we need a lawyer for something, call Vanessa, call whatever. Well, I'll say for me, I grew up with
Eric
a lot of lawyers.
talking ish. He will call me as well.
And I covered. I've covered the course and stuff, so it's easy for me to find a lawyer. But a lot of people sit there and they go, yeah, 1-800-SAM. So advertising, if you don't spend it the right way, it's a total waste of money.
Well, speaking of not spending it the right way, Queen Bee says she's talking about Vice President Harris. She should have paid intelligent people to discuss the missteps of her boss so that she didn't have to. Instead, she too, like Mary Sheffield, would choose bread and circus. Wow.
See, what's interesting, what people need to understand for the mayoral race, raising money is one thing. Getting the people come out to vote is another. Mm-hmm. Detroit has not turned out to vote at over a 35% rate in probably 500 years. So raise all the money you want. People will make up their minds. And one thing I got to give Dan Gilbert credit for is his various organizations are putting money in more than just one candidate. And that's smart politics, because you're going to need, no matter who wins, you're going to need that person to push your agenda. And actually, I was interested. I was surprised at the amount of money that Fred Durhal is raising. That kind of surprised me. But getting people out to vote will be interesting, and getting the pulse of the community is also going to be the most important thing, because depending on who you ask and on the day of the week, that tagline from Ben Crump about being the people's candidate, whatever the tagline is, something along those lines, is very interesting for someone that does not live in Detroit Michigan, Highland Park, Hamtramck, Livonia. So, I guess he got I guess he has a drone down in Jacksonville that he flies up to Detroit to see what's going on a regular basis. But I was surprised by reading an article and they propping him up as if he's the new kingmaker. I'm like, bro, ain't nobody been shot and killed in Detroit, so what's your point?
Well, it's interesting. I had the exact same thing as Queen Bee says. I was too shocked by how much Fred Durhal is raising.
Mhm.
He's exciting as watching paint dry. I'm curious.
I mean, he on the road.
I don't think he won by a lot. I'm curious who his backers are. That he did raise a fair amount of money, and I'm curious who the backing is of Fred Durhal.
No, that British Detroit magazine, they spelled it out. They have it to the T of who all donated.
And who donated? Who's backing Fred Durhal? Let's see. I know, like Mary Sheffield, I know she's going to have a broad, business people, community people. I don't know of Fred Durhal having a big following in the business community, but I don't really know much about him, to be honest.
Well, that the statement that you just made, Allan, is my point. You don't know much about him, but I think it's incumbent upon you as a Detroit resident, as someone who's going to be voting for the mayor, it's incumbent upon you to find out about each and every candidate and make an informed decision. All this money that they raise, and it's all in the newspaper, all these people coming in here, campaigning for these people, that's fine, good, and dandy. But at the end of the day, you have to make a decision. You should make a decision. You don't have to. You should make an informed decision, because uninformed decisions get us where we are now.
And he's a first term councilman. Was he elected in 2021? Is it?
Yeah, he was elected 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago. Okay.
He ran out of
he was working
room to be in the state senate or the state house,
right.
And that's why he was term limited, and he found another public servant job, and that's how he wound up as a city councilor.
Wasn't he the one that lost his Senate seat to Marsha Bullock? Wasn't he the one who lost his Senate seat to Marsha Bullock? I might be wrong.
No, I don't think so, because he's a Duggan disciple. So no, he didn't lose to Marsha Bullock.
Okay. And is that what his tie is? He have the backing of Duggan?
Call him a Duggan disciple.
Duggan is not backing anyone in the primary.
No, he's not backing it. I'm saying, but he backed quite a few people in the House and Senate in the state of Michigan. Okay. That's public knowledge.
And Durhal's father, isn't his father?
Yes, his father, former.
Yeah.
And speaking of, I said it from the start, and after reading, and I sent you the article, Vanessa, I am not surprised. I am not surprised at all. The poll shows that the voters want an independent that's not tied to either party, and that's why Duggan is doing well, which I knew he would do well thus far. Again, the election is not to 2026, but I'm telling people, what he did was ingenious. Do not count him out.
I don't count him out at all. But the question is, what's going to happen in 2 years? I mean, right now, Trump is just setting it on fire. He's like crash and burning, trying to, close every agency, fire in mass. We'll see how much tolerance the people have and how much they embrace the Republicans. And if the Democrats become a more popular party. They were not popular by November. They were seen as kind of weak and have lost direction and lost to a guy like Trump who had, criminal convictions.
Well, you talk about the
Democratic Party. Hold up, Vanessa. One thing that keeps bothering me about the criminal convictions, most legal scholars say that those felonies, particularly the one in New York, was not worth a bag of marbles.
But the other places were.
When people talk about the 34 convictions, they were high misdemeanors. So I think people need to be careful when they continuously talk about those felonies when so many people have.
But Eric,
people overrate the.
I'll make your point. We're going to have to go to commercial. Then we'll come back.
I was going to say real quick. The other, I agree. Look, that wasn't the most heinous crimes there. However, the other ones trying to basically, overthrow the government, trying to hide documents after any president former president would have turned over the documents. He hid them. He's a criminal. He is a criminal, and you're seeing what's happening now. Criminals don't obey laws, and that's what he's doing right now by firing people, trying to close agencies, violating the Constitution left and right.
Some agencies need to be closed. I've been a long advocate of the Department of Education being closed down.
Well, it's got to be done the right way.
Okay, we're going to shoot to commercial. Then when we come back, I got to make a comment. And so go to
In the heart of Detroit, Bruce Simpson. Our city ombudsman and his team are dedicated to making your voice heard. The City of Detroit Ombudsman is a liaison between the City of Detroit and all persons who have a complaint or inquiry into the operation of a city department or the conduct of a city employee. The Ombudsman works as an independent oversight to provide individuals with an opportunity of giving a confidential avenue to address complaints. You can reach the Ombudsman's office at 313-224-6000 or email us at ombudsmandetroitmi.gov. You can also visit us at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. For more information, go to www.detroitmi.gov and type in Ombudsman. We are here to help. In Detroit, we are all one team. When you win, we all win.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
So the comment that I was going to make is, Allan, you talked about the Democratic Party and how people basically is run away from the Democratic Party, that they're on fire. You were responding to the fact that Mayor Duggan is running as an independent. I think it speaks more about not just the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. People are tired of the party lines and feeling like they're forced to stand in a line. You got to choose a box. People are saying that we don't want to do that. We don't fit in that box. And so that's what that poll says. So there's a problem with him running as an independent. Tells me that it was not just a problem with the Democratic Party, it was also a problem with the Republican Party. That's what that poll says.
Yeah, but I think also the fact is this election in November, people were dissatisfied with both candidates, and so they're disillusioned about either party presenting a good, solid candidate. And so now they're saying, well, we'll take, there's nothing wrong with having an independent. I think there should be a third party, at least a legitimate third party. But I think people were so disenfranchised that they're like, we don't give a shit, Republican, Democrat. We didn't like the choices.
But at the end of the day, in January of 2024, 72% of those that were polled, if we're going to look at polls, stated that they did not want a repeat of 2020. They did not want a repeat. Yet, they went out and voted during the primary for Dumb and Dumber. Then on July 21st, Dumber left. She came in, and she just did not resonate with the people. So at the end of the day, people, for whatever reason, are tied to being a Republican and supporting that, or tied to being a Democrat and supporting that. But those, hell, I look at the smarter ones are the ones that voted with regard to this past election, independent or did not vote at all. The highest, and I say all the time, the greatest block of anyone that vote are non-voters. That's been proven time and time again. The non-voters get the highest percentage when it comes to the candidates than any other person involved in the race, because people have been disenfranchised for so long. But the arrogance and the hubris of both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party is that don't matter. They only have two choices. And they're the ones that spread the narrative about someone wasting their vote if they don't vote for a Democrat or a Republican. When are people going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired of complaining about the Democratic and the Republican Party and do something?
Well, I think people going to complain, and I'll be dead and gone, and people will still be complaining. I do want to give a shout out to Marlon Holt, Queen Bee, You Don't Like My Music, who says, he apologizes. He said he was salty earlier today. He was in a mood. And then he goes on to say, he says, be bold, electoral reform, and campaign finance reform. You can't really change anything without it. What do you say, Jim, about that comment?
Well, I say, like my music's an Irishman, so I expect a little pushback from him. We love having him on the show. Marlon's got a couple of points today that are important. He's talking about Elon Musk and what's going on with Elon Musk. And I think that if there's anything positive right now, Marlon, being done, and I don't question there is, it's getting lost in the circus, unfortunately. And we won't know the positive because of the circus behind it. It's unfortunate. A lot of good comments today, private early, like Queen Bee. Marlon says his cup runneth over. I don't know where Marlon is tonight, but I will tell you, my cup is frozen over. It's not runneth. And my driveway looks like what's it called now? I was going to say Joe Louis Arena. It's not Joe Louis. It's Little Caesars Arena. I could put up a couple nets there and play a little hockey, but a lot of good comments. I'm really happy that.
I think
Friday evening.
We talk about election reform. The Supreme Court ruled that there can be dark money. And so we are seeing, people like Elon Musk spend $160 million on the election. We're seeing Miriam Adelson in Las Vegas put up $100 million with somewhat of a caveat to Trump that you better annex the West Bank. There's a lot of markers being put down, and those who don't have the money, their voices shrink. A guy like Elon Musk is like, he's running the government now.
Well, that's what people say. You know what? I'm so turned off now. I don't watch I think I said this before. I don't watch the news like I used to. I just read. And it's just, Lord Jesus have mercy. But you know what? At the end of the day, I keep it moving. I keep it pushing. I can't do anything about the prices of eggs. The reason I said this is because somebody else said something to me today about the prices of eggs. It is what it is. So, listen, in 2 years, you can make a difference. If you educate yourselves and you make an informed decision as to who should be in office. 4 years from now, you need to do the same. That's the bottom line.
But it's not in the interim. We're seeing hundreds of lawsuits being filed to stop some of the firings. They just a judge put on hold the laying off of, I don't know, is it a couple thousand employees for U.S. aid? There's farms that support 40% of U.S. aid. There's farmers, I think it's billions of dollars of crops that are being withheld right now that aren't being shipped. There's some, if you want to make change, you can do some reform. But when you don't have any clue and you say, you know what, fuck the people in Sudan, fuck the children in Africa, let them starve to death. And I can tell you that it's not the first time. Look, in World War II, my parents, Holocaust survivors, people were like, fuck, we don't want to get involved in any kind of war. Let the people, it's not our business. We have to decide, does America want to help around the world? Do we have the resources, or do we just totally recoil and say, fuck the rest of the world? Why should we care about anyone else? But the thing is, we ignore the rest of the world, and that's where, terrorism, they're trying to get rid of the CIA people. we happen to have, I mean, we've messed up on some intelligence over the years, but we also have had some incredible intelligence. And our intelligence agencies are up there with the others, with the Mossad, with Russia's. And it's important if we want to keep our homeland safe. And so I think you can look very myopically at things, or you can look at it broader. And I'm not saying there doesn't have to be change, but not where you just fire 2,000 people. You tell the CIA, you know, you guys can go. If you want to fire thousands of people at the FBI, who's going to run? You can't bring in new people, and suddenly you're going to have these agencies operating at full strength.
So let me ask you a question. First, Detroit sucks. Thanks for your comment. Love the trademark. I guess that's your trademark. But so a lot of these things the current president administration is doing, a lot of these are going to be thrown out in a court of law. Some are going to be, is he just trying to make a point? Vanessa made what she said is 2 years. That's all he has is 2 years, because within in 2 years, the election that comes up in less than 2 years, he could lose control of the legislatures. And he's trying to make his point right now. Win, lose, or draw, he's trying to make his point. He's all out. And I don't know.
What is his point is, I guess, I understand he wants to revamp government. Nothing wrong with that. But when you're violating the Constitution, when you're violating laws, you're violating labor laws, you're doing, his point is, I don't give a shit about the law, just do it. And he's seeing that the judges, the federal judges, are pushing back, including some who he appointed.
But we had a previous president that was told by the Supreme Court that he couldn't, was a student debt. Then the Supreme Court said, and he said, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. So we can't just say one president is ignoring the law when many presidents have ignored the law over the years.
Well, but here's the point. The point that bothers me to no end. This clown has been running since 2015. He ran 3 times. The leopard did not change his spots. So what did people do to prevent him from becoming president this time? Bitching and whining about it now is just it's a reactive. It's such a reaction that just kills me when the time to be proactive was there and nobody was out trying to galvanize people enough to prevent him from becoming president. So this reactionary behavior just boggles my mind. He's been running since 2015.
Well, you know what? You look at Dearborn now, and now there's all these articles coming out where people in Dearborn are like, oh my gosh, he's betrayed us. He's talking about Gaza and this and that. And it's like, it doesn't take much to see through the guy. I mean, the Chaldeans.
Right. You're proving my point. It don't take much to see through the guy. People still voted for him, and people did not prevent him from becoming president. That's my point.
Listen, but you know what, Dwayla, thanks for coming in. She said they wanted to FAFO. Dearborn makes me laugh, Queen Bee says. The bottom line is this.
She also said yes. She also said yes, Eric.
Oh, yeah, she did say yes, Eric. And she also said Dearborn makes her laugh. But the bottom line is, while he ran since 2015, and you said people are reacting, it's not too late for them to be proactive in the next 2 years. They can make a difference. We can make a difference if we want something different.
Now, but the time to make the difference was before November the 5th, 2024.
But it's not too late. Now is the time to get, if you want to get organized. If you want to get organized, you want to get going.
He still would be president. He still would be, no matter what happens in November 2026. He still would be president until January 20th, 2029.
Yes. Well,
unless something happens. But as it stands right now, until January 20th, 2029, no matter what happens, November 2026, he will still be the president of the United States.
Exactly. But my point was he may lose his opportunity to get some of the things done he's trying to get done now because he won't have the votes. That was my point. And we shall see. He may get we may have more Republicans in the House and more in the Senate, but that's not likely. It usually doesn't go that way in history.
Right. Well, We've
Short,
hit it up against the 9 o'clock hour. David
Can I
Porter
say
says, I
something?
get what you're saying, Eric, but we can't just give up. And I agree with you. That's the point that I was trying to make. We're getting ready to hit up against the 9 o'clock hour.
I mean,
We'll be back Saturday. I know, Allan, you want to say something.
I want to address Queen Bee, who
Okay.
said basically organize what to do, what short of taking guns, overthrowing the government. I mean, first of all, people are filing lawsuits to stop some of the illegal activities that are happening. And second of all, if you want to organize and you want to take back the House, or a longer shot at the Senate, you got to start now. It's the next election's 2 years from now. You don't start 3 months before the election. You got to start now in figuring out targeting certain districts that can be winnable, targeting certain candidates that are a little bit on the weak side. It's a long-term thing. So it's not, the election's over, the presidential election's over, but now we move forward and we try to figure out how to improve things.
Yeah, well, it is 9 o'clock. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Duela Boyce, she said we need the Congress and Senate to grow up. I want to thank each and every one of you that was watching Detroit Black and White tonight. I will be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, we'll be starting off with Black History Month, and whoever, the person that we select, we'll do that tomorrow morning. We'll be at McShane's from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. Please join us. Please like, please share, tell your family or friends about Detroit Black and White. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about Detroit. It seems to me that the last couple of weeks, the conversation will start one way and we always end up talking about the President of the United States. I promise you, I don't want to do this every day that we are on television. All right. Everyone have a good evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.